So for my topic, I did the importance of Nellie Bly. Nellie Bly was known to be one of the most famous persons and journalists in our lifetime, and she accomplished this by traveling the world, changing the conditions of mentally ill people, and being a pioneer in investigative journalism. What if I told you someone risked their own life to just make the world a better place for the future of people in journalism? That is what Nellie Bly did, and is what she wanted to do. How many of you guys know someone who has been mentally ill, who has a friend who is mentally ill? Nellie Bly helped change the conditions of the living space in their homes and gave them better food to eat, cleaner spaces to sleep, and just a better environment overall. There have been plenty of issues throughout the world, and people never seem to talk about it, or just they leave it alone because it doesn't affect them. I wanted to learn about the topic and help myself understand what needs to be changed and what needs to be better for the world and going forward. Nellie Bly was one of the most famous persons and journalists in our lifetime, and she accomplished this by traveling the world, changing conditions of mentally ill people, and being a pioneer in investigative journalism. So the three topics I chose for her were, like I said earlier, and then Nellie Bly became a star journalist, and by going undercover as a patient in a New York City mental health asylum in 1887, and she exposed its terrible conditions in the New York world. Her reports not only raised awareness about mental health and the treatment, it led to improvements all over the world in other insane asylums, and also help people improve and get healthier quicker. So so first, Bly wanted to travel the world, and she's been denied this process the whole time. She didn't think, no one thought a woman could do this, and she was being told no her whole life. So her successful career reached a new heights in 1889 when she decided to travel around the world after reading the popular book Jules Verne, Around the World in 80 Days. The New York it published daily updates on her journey, and the entire country followed her story. Her trip only took 72 days, and it would set a new world record. But Bly held the record for only a few months until it was later broken. She was very passionate and wanted to make an impact on the world, and she never wanted to settle. Nellie brought the idea to her editor, and she wanted to be able to make an impact during her lifetime and be a positive source for the youth. So when she got back, she was great. She was greeted at a New Jersey train station by a crowd of cheering supporters and her editor from the New York World. And they wanted her to send her home because she was a woman, but she said no. Anyone can do this. Doesn't matter the gender. It doesn't have to be a man. And she said, and she really thinks that she was better than the men who did this prior. So Nellie was also getting treated that she wasn't able to do this feat and was only motivated and she was really motivated as you expected. She was very competitive and always wanted to be the best at what she was doing all her life, and has been treated unfairly because it was a stereotype that women can't play a big role in journalism. So it took her 72 days to finish her trip, and after she got the okay to do the journey, she left about 10 days. She waited no. She rated no. She didn't waste any time to get moving, and she wanted to get there as soon as possible. And she packed very light, and she thought she was prepared for the journey, but she said that she packed very light and wasn't. She brought her own good luck charm that she thought she would keep her safe because people thought it would be very dangerous and that she'd be in trouble. And then, so the second one I did, change the conditions of mentally ill people. So even a lot of people know the work she had done around a trip around the world, but a lot of people don't know how well she was able to help the mentally ill people. And then, in my opinion, I think this is the one of the biggest accomplishments is what she did in her lifetime. So she was a very important and successful journalist, as we all know. She helped change the way we treat mentally ill people. She wanted to expose everything that she knew was wrong, and she had a feeling ever since she was a kid, and she had many rumors about it, and wanted to know what was actually wrong. So she took matters into her own hands and decided to sneak in for herself and break into the sane asylum. So her story helped push the mental health reforms, and she became a star for doing this journalism and taking this risk. Her work on going undercover and exposing the terrible conditions helped improve the mental reforms. After her work came out, and there were officials that provided many funds that showed us many changes that were happening in the asylums. She made the outrage happen as changes were later made just because of her work. Her work helped start the outrage and later change the world and how we look at this thing. So her work was later published, and when she came back, she was very popular because of the work that she did. The improvements that were put into place made the environment a much better spot to be in, and they all felt safe. We all know how pertinent her work was for everyone in the world, and many people look up to her, and she wanted to make this world stress free with no issues. So the third and final one, lastly, Nellie Bly wanted to leave a statement on what was truly wrong in the world and what needed to be changed. Bly wanted to go undercover and see what the real environment and conditions were like in the insane asylum. She thought she heard secrets, and she wanted to get to the bottom of it. As expected, she got very sick and started to lose control when she was there because she didn't know how to act, and she just didn't feel like herself. Bly and other patients were given small meals, leaving them very hungry, and the asylum was cold. And the workers blamed on the rule that the heat couldn't be turned on until October. The baths were also ice cold, and Bly noted that the bath water wasn't even changed between patients. They kept the same water in there. And that's just really gross. They would only use one towel to each dry one patient, and the clothing was swapped out just once a month and cleaned. However, patients were changed into fresh clothing if they had a visitor, and make it seem like the asylum was under good management. So they wanted to keep it very clean when someone came to visit. Bly spent 10 days and nights in the asylum and taking as much information as she could about her experiences. Her reports on the conditions later changed the way that we run here. Prior to when Bly came undercover when there were abuse of caretakers, cold showers, and terrible and gross living conditions and rotten food. Bly changed all that, and it got all better after her reports and journalism came out. So she became very popular after her story came out, and it later gave women a chance to believe that they can do whatever they wanted. She gave hope to many young girls, and they can be powerful however they wanted to be, and they can do whatever they wanted. When we think about it, we probably don't know where we'd be at right now if Nellie Bly didn't take that risk going around the world. Bly was an iconic figure who did many things for us in her lifetime, and she was very humble.